you very much, Naomi, for coming all the way to our puddle patch here in Papatoetoe, South Auckland. Can I get you to introduce yourself, a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and then also what you would call yourself?
I was born in Bloomfield to my mother who came from Tonga and my dad who was from Canada. Mum comes from a very large Pacific Island family, so we grew up with hundreds of cousins, first cousins, second cousins, aunties, uncles, nanas, great nanas, and focused around my nana's place in Ponsonby. So lots of big family parties, the island food, the ukuleles, the big family arguments, all the cousins running around Ponsonby in those days, which was very Pacifica in those days. And Dad, who was Canadian, had not a very big family. He just relished the being part of, the chaos. So, yeah, Bloomfield girl. And then, just grew into this person who builds life and health insurance companies into very large businesses. And then sold the last one for $1 billion. So I guess the girl from Greenville did good.
Hard out. That's an amazing achievement. Even just talking amongst ourselves before you came, we were just like, that we can't even comprehend what that even looks like. First of all, what exactly is your business? Because life insurance, do we need it?
Life and health insurances are the things that pay out money when bad things happen to people, they overdie, or they have something serious happen to their health. And many, many people think, oh, I'll be fine, the government will take care of me. And it doesn't. It's tiny. It doesn't come close to what you lose financially if, for example, the main income unit and the family dies. So it's not just what they pay for today, but it's the potential of what they were going to do for their family over time, So families can go backwards rapidly in those circumstances. And all the insurances that, life and health insurances do is allow you to stand still and continue without going backwards financially. So they don't fix the fact someone's died and got sick. They don't stop that from happening. They don't make it happening. There's a very island thing like you're tempting fate by buying insurance. People die with or without insurance. The difference is whether they have the money for the family to fall back on. No one ever gets rich because no one ever buys enough insurance to get rich from, but it literally just helps families stand still and breathe and reorganize themselves without, losing everything because they can't pay the rent or the mortgage or whatever. So I'm really proud of being in that industry, but I fell into it. I didn't know what it was when I started.
How did you get into it then?
I was doing marine biology at uni. I was the first in the family to go to uni. Yeah, Dad watched a lot of Jacques Cousteau on TV, so he thought you could be a marine biologist and become Jacques Cousteau. So I went to uni, started that process, realised there's one Jacques Cousteau and probably 1 billion people counting whelks for doc and being next to nothing with doing it after doing a 12-year degree. So I figured that, this is fun. I don't think this is me. And so I thought I'd better get a job. Also wanted to get married. Very young and thought, I can't stay at school and do that. So I applied for a job that said management trainee life insurance, and I didn't know what life insurance was, but I thought management trainee sounds like me. So fell into it. Yeah. Very quickly realised what we did in terms of the purpose of the industry. Absolutely hated the structure, the old-fashionedness, the male-dominated, the boredom of the way they did things. But I fell in love with the purpose of the industry, and I never lost that love for it.
Do you think that there was something that kind of happened earlier on in your life that I guess showed you what responsibility was like? Because obviously, you wanted to do these things. So you're like, okay, this is a responsible move to do. To go down this avenue. I want to get married. I need to put things in place in my life. Yeah. Do you think that, there was anything?
I don't know if I was born with it or it was built. Mum was one of those women that did everything. Dad had a bad alcohol problem. So everything in our life, cutting the lawns, painted the house, doing the gardens, Mum did. She also worked as well while we were at school, cooked like a, dream, still had all the big family films, would get outside and wrestle us and play sports with us. And she was just phenomenal. And so that was my role model for women can and should just do anything. And then I was odd, we were poor. Mum was an islander. There was a lot of racism around in those days. Dad was an alcoholic. You never fit anywhere. And so I was always on the outside looking in. I was really good at sports, but the coaches and stuff, I think that was great. And the other, I guess, blonde glamazons in the hockey team, I just didn't fit right. I was never one of the in group. So I observed a lot, learned a lot about people by just watching, but also learned very early on not to worry about being popular because I never was never going to be. And so what other people think kind of could either destroy you or you can think what you like. I can't do anything with that. I'm just going to be me. Can't be anything else. And actually that lesson that you can learn anything, learning what makes people tick by just observing them rather than being in the middle of them. And then what other people think can't be the thing that determines your life for you. I learned early. And I think that those things are the reason why I was able to, I guess, weather the storm and be brave enough to do the things I subsequently did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess, being a half kasi, mum is Palangi, dad is Tongan. We very much feel like we're never quite in there fully. Like, there's all these kind of like subgroups and you're just kind of like flitting along to kind of fit in, but you never really feel part of it or belong. And I think that this is a skill that we kind of do adopt because it's almost like we're octopus or chameleons or something, because in the different rooms and the different environments you just kind of mold into what you need to be.
I think that is an amazing skill to actually understand people. If you want to lead them, they have to follow you. For people to follow you, they've got to believe you've got their interests at heart. And to do that, you must speak their language, right? I don't think you can be a chameleon in terms of the values that you have. I guess a lot of people are, but I couldn't. I needed my mum to be proud of me, not what I did. She never really understood what I did, but who I was while I did that. And then later I had to know that when I die, the only thing you take with you is whether you're proud of yourself or not for how you lived your life. And I needed to be. I needed to be that. So values were never flexible, but the way in which you brought people with you needed to speak to them, not to you. And learning that early as a skill, it's not a problem, but it does come almost from that place of you learn it because you don't fit. You can't just breathe and be and you fit. You have to make yourself fit. And so I think that that's an advantage, but it is lonely.
You speak very highly of your mum and right. So this is the Tongan coming out, like the emotional Tongan, and for us, our mother, she was like, so it's kind of hard to explain what she is because she's kind of annoying now, she's in your life and she's like, oh, she kind of reminds you of like the things that you actually don't want to hear, but then it's good because you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. But then also it's like,
can't you just be proud of me, Mum?
yeah.
And Mum never told me I was a good girl. She told everyone else, Elmi, you're a good girl. Yeah, until just before she died. And then she finally told me, because I'm her only daughter. She's got only boys and I'm the only girl. Finally told me how much I meant to her and how much. So I spent a lot of my life trying to please be my mum and get my mum to tell me that I was good. She was never mean. No, Dad was harsh. Dad, when he was drunk, was awkward. But Mum was never mean. But she still just couldn't say it. Yeah, but I hear it from everyone else. Yeah. So I remember I did a specific magazine, wanted to do an article on me. And because I don't look Pacific Island, they asked me to bring my mum along for the photo shoot, just to prove it. And And so I was so happy because Mum, in a photo shoot, like not in a million years in her life would that be a thing, and the makeup done, and in her bright dress, and she loved it. Um, but after 5 photos, she's like, "Are we done yet?" No, it's about another 50 to go, but it'll be okay, Mum. You'll be fine. And then the photographer was packing up, and he was talking to her, and he said, "Oh, you must be so proud of your daughter." And she went, "Her? Oh, she's all right. You can't get a big head with it." With a mother like that, yeah.
What were some of the other values that you think they
Yeah.
she
So Mum was very religious, in I would say the very simple Pacific Island church kind of approach, which as I got older I really struggled with some of those things. But it was still, the do unto others has been such a drive for me in the whole of my life. So I am so blessed that I got to learn those lessons, and so blessed that I was smart enough, I guess, to go, look, I don't agree with that. Yeah. And I don't think that that's what's intended, and I'm not going to buy into that. But I certainly would never tell my mother what she should think. But it was so that certainly has played a part. I pray a lot, which I describe as taking the problem and giving it to the safest, most confidential and loving pair of hands I can. Well, I don't think about it for 5 minutes, for as long as it takes for me to, for my brain to be able to then pick it up and run with it again. And whether you call that God giving you the answers, or whether it calling you, that you just found the way to give your brain the space it needs, I don't really care. It's work for me.
Yeah. I know that you saw our film, and so you know our history with our father and his kind of need to give to the church, but then also the very Tongan sort of continuous sort of ask, which it's you want to support the cousins going back to Tonga, the funerals, the birthdays, and this kind of thing, like, but you must get it tenfold.
It's a really interesting thing. And that movie, I saw so much of my wider family in that. It was an emotional experience watching it. I was angry. It's so sad, and also understanding, I guess. All of those things, you did an amazing job with that film. And I didn't know you then, but I saw the film. So um, I think that, and Mum was very much everything she had, which was never very much because, she's trying to raise a family of 5 kids and all that stuff, but she would give to the church as well. And I've watched and heard interviews with lots of sports people, and I know quite a few high-profile island sports people where their families are just their hands out, and they can never get ahead. And I speak about it quite a lot. Like, you need to get yourself in a position where your needs are taken care of, so you can take other people, you can help other people with their needs. And if by giving before you get there, you never get there, everyone pays a price for that. Everyone pays. Your kids pay a price for that, like you did. And then you're gone, and you never got there because you've never given yourself the space to take care of your own needs first. When you're in that space, you've taken care of your own needs, you can look after lots of people in a much bigger way. Yeah, and probably in a much more sustainable way. They just take this, take that. And I think, and I wish that parents would not see their children as I had you, and it's your job to look after me. So the one financial goal I would always set myself was that my son either had to financially look after my husband or I when we were older. And that's not emotionally or physically, but just financially, that we didn't want that burden to be on him. I didn't have this goal that we would leave him a fortune or any of those things. I never thought that being rich was I never had a view that I'm building $1 billion business. This is life. But the one thing I knew I did not ever want to do was leave him with the burden of financially supporting his parents. And he's great. He says, "Mum, you should spend it all, every cent. I don't need it. I'm big enough and ugly enough to do it for myself. And you should try to aim to have spent your last cent on the day that you die." If you could figure out how to do that, that would be great. But But so that's I'm obviously very proud of him for his attitude and his his desire to be his own man and not have rested on his mother's laurels, so to speak. But at the same token, I never wanted for us to be a burden to him. And I wish more island parents saw themselves as your job is to let your children fly, not then to hold on to them. Yeah, not then to hold on to them and hold them back. Yeah, or burden them so they can't fly. So, that might be controversial, but it's the way I feel.
Yeah, well, it's 100% a fair statement because, when parents are asking their children to take out loans to give to the church for missionary, then this like is setting us back so much, like
100%. And it's, the church should not do that either.
mm,
And I'll call that out as well. Because, like I said, when you have a very simple view of religions, then you are brainwashed into believing that if you don't do this thing, you'll go to hell.
yeah, yeah.
And everything stems from that. So, but honestly, in my view, you can create a living hell for your children by putting them in a situation where they go backwards, not forwards. And they are not living, they're living your life, not their life, because that's the expectation that's being put on them. So you don't lose face with your church, which is meant to be about helping people, not taking from people.
I was thinking about life insurance, right? And then I was like, actually, that's Dad's life insurance in his mind. Although he actually does have life insurance. Like this is the one thing that he's like, yeah, no, no, no. He's gets on the pension, whatever. But he's just like always make sure that he has enough money for his life insurance, which is surprising. But I also feel like his life insurance is like going to the church. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of a
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Some cultures and some traditions should change. The world moves. You shouldn't stick to stuff. I mean, otherwise we'd still all be cavemen.
Yeah.
And the things that are bad and harmful should be changed. It's the fact that they've been done for a long time does not make them right.
So, I guess you've generational wealth thing,
Yeah.
right? Like where is your position on that? Because, obviously your son is onto it and sorted, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a really interesting thing. I don't believe in I this dichotomy, right? I know that I built these businesses and where I'm at now, I wasn't given. There was nothing from my parents. In fact, I supported them financially right at the start, where we didn't have a lot, but we had more than they did. So helping them along the way. I don't think I believe in inheritance for the sake of because you were born someone's child, you should be wealthy. I think that's terrible for the actual child as well. I think the privilege, if you're wealthy or have money, that you give your children is education and access and opportunity and health and all of those things, but then to give them your money when you die just perpetuates that wealth going to stay in the hands of people who did nothing to get it, right? And away from all the other people who just happen to be born to different parents, right? So but how do you fix that? I mean, I'm not going to leave our whatever's left by the time we go to mass people. I'm going to leave it to him, and he can distribute it if he wants to, right? And choose the way he wants to deliver that. Because I'm still paranoid that we'll run out of it before we go, and he'll somehow end up having to look after us, which is because he's been such a strong driver for me since we had no money. That it's very hard to let go of. I've got to make sure I've got enough.
Where exactly is that coming from?
Yeah. Well, we were really poor.
Yeah, right.
As kids, and mum and dad never had anything, and so and they argued a lot. Often it was about money, and dad's drinking. Maybe the two go hand in hand. I don't know, but I never money. Not having money, I always saw as being a really hard life. I never saw having money as being a good life. I just saw if you have no money, then it's very hard to have a good life. So I never I don't see myself as rich in the sense of I don't see myself having all the opportunity to go out and spend money. There's nothing really I want to spend money on, right? It's an interesting thing. And we do a lot of good stuff and always have, even when we had no money, and that doesn't change. But and it seems a little crazy, but I like that about me. I don't need other people to think anything at all about us. So people who meet us, unless they know the backstory, have no idea, what we do and how much we're with, because we're still the same people. We go out on our boat, our bare feet, we catch snapper, we bring it home and fill it at home. We, make food, have big parties for family, and I cook everything. We don't cater, because I love it. And also it's what I did when I was a kid. So I like that about me. And I like that I've arrived at least in the position of not being a burden to my son, and everything else I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with myself. Hopefully it'll become clear at some point in the future.
Well, sorry, what do you mean you don't know what to do with that thing?
How to invest the money.
Oh, right. Sure,
And
yes,
you were
yeah.
right. You asked that question about, you must get that a lot. Yes, when it was first announced that the company had sold, we got people saying Ancestry DNA says I'm a relative of yours and I need a loan. We had people say I run a organisation in Tonga and we're fundraising for this, and it was from everywhere, and we literally had to just not engage it or just stop, and it felt ugly, it felt really horrible. I also had lots of people in the investment game, reaching out, going, "Oh, can we help you invest your money?" Thinking, "Well, we help you. They're helping me get it. I think I'm good. I think I'm fine," kind of thing. So it felt so horrible. So we just had to hide, clearly, for a period of time to buy ourselves our own space to think about what we were going to do next, right? Which really wasn't throwing money around. Yeah. When it's been hard to get it, don't throw it around.
I can't imagine what you actually went through to actually get it. But just on that, was there just like a little something you spoiled yourself to?
So we've always had small boats. And we bought a batch when we were quite young, and we scraped every little set we had together, and we bought this batch, and gosh, it nearly killed us, but we thought it would be good for our sons. It was a great investment. We didn't know that at the time, for example. And then we'd always had small boats. So Northland has always been our playground batch, small boat. So we bought ourselves a much bigger boat. It was the very first thing we did. Once the cash actually came through, we'll buy this boat. Here's the cash. Oh, and we absolutely love it. I mean, she's not a gin palace like you see some of them, but for us, who've only ever had little boats and gone out fishing in them, she's spectacular, and we can handle it, the two of us, or we can take 14 people out on the boat and have great times. So that was our indulgence. That was our indulgence. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very, very nice. I would say, just from the outside looking in, very male dominated, palangi, like, how did you figure out that room? How did you command that room?
So when I was very young, first landed in the industry, and as I said, it was great purpose and a horrible environment. I get bored really fast, and I've never been on the inside, the crowd. So they'd develop a new product. At 18, the company I was working for was really boring, and I'd already learned everything I could learn at that grade and that level. And they developed a new product, which is funny to think of that being new product today, but it was. And no one knew how to calculate something about it. No one had ever done it before. They didn't know how to do it. And I was good at maths. So I said, well, I'll do it. I didn't know what I was doing either, but I thought, oh, well, I can. If no one else knows how to do it, you can't be wrong, can you? So I became, at 18, the only person in the company able to calculate premiums on this new product and no one checking my work, no nothing. So that was great. And then there's nothing else to learn. So like I said, I bounced jobs. I got into another company, and their underwriter, that's the person who assesses the health of applicants to decide if you can give them insurance or not, just up and left. And I was 23. And they went, well, we need another underwriter. You can do it. And I went, okay. So they gave me a book like this, and we learned. So I taught myself how to do that. And then I'm the only person in the business that knows how to do that thing. So by 23, I had already learned stuff that people had been their whole lives in the industry not learned. And also learned that, well, if you don't know it, you can figure it out, right? So then when I applied for my first job in a startup company, I was 24. And they needed someone to build the business from scratch. And no one else applied for the job because there's never been a startup company in New Zealand in that industry for 100 years. So no one wanted to take a risk. And I went, well, this sounds like fun. I'm really bored. This sounds like a great opportunity. And if it doesn't work out, I can always go and get another job. And so that's how I got into my first startup company, built the whole company from scratch and backed myself because I went, well, I already know that actually most people in the business don't know how to do hardly anything. Just what they've been taught. That's it. So I can figure it out. And they let me go for it. So having built a company myself, and it became the most successful company very fast, I now knew I could do everything it was to do to build a new company. And so when I did it for myself, the only thing I needed to learn how to do was find the money, which is a lot for life insurance because you've got to be able to pay all your claims from the minute you sell a policy, right? It's a lot of money. But in terms of the practical things, and I had lots of knockers and lots of men saying you can't do it, you shouldn't do it. But like I said, I'd already heard all the knockers of the and Dad, Dad was quite verbally abusive. I was always useless, fat, ugly, not good enough at this, not good enough at that. And so, other people who I don't even know telling me I was useless. Okay. You're not going to get in the way of me doing the thing that I think I have to do. So I think maybe I was born with it. Maybe Mum had a large, because like I said, there was a lot of racism when I was young towards her and I was defending her against people saying terrible things all of the time and looking at them going, do you know how magnificent this woman is? That she could sweep the floor with you. And you're saying these things and all of those things built me into a person that could just figure out how to do and have the confidence that if all the rest of you are too scared to do it, I'll do it. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to have learned something, make a mistake, so what? So that's how that happened. And in that first company, Sovereign, which I helped to build, you very quickly become totally indispensable because you know everything about the business because you built it all, right? So again, learning to know your own worth, understand how much value you bring, how much they actually depend on you, was important in accelerating my pay too, because they paid me far less than them for a long time until they had to beg me. I left to have my son. They got a man and paid him twice as much as me. He completely destroyed the place. At 5 months old, they're going, please come back. And I'm going, okay, but now you're going to pay me what I'm worth. Yeah, because you paid him that much to break it. This is how much you're going to pay me to fix it. And that was, again, young, but a lesson I learned, which was you hold your ground. You know what you can do. You know how good you are, or if you don't know something, you're going to figure it out, and that's worth something. So, yeah.
You had to leave the industry for a while to have a baby, that's what women do, right? But how was that for you?
Well, I thought, like Mum, I was going to just work until I had children, and then I was going to have lots of children, and I'd stay and look after them and work part-time, around that. And that's what I thought in my head. And so all the stuff that I was doing was really interesting and scratched that. Can't get bored, need to learn it, want to be able to try new things, etc. But it was never a career. And then I had my son. My husband couldn't cope with being the sole income earner for the first time in his life. Well, we were married 7 years before we had our son. And the work is begging me to come back, and now the job was much bigger. And now you've got this MA. And so we had for me to go back because my husband couldn't cope with it. His mother and lots of other people told me what a terrible mother I was for go back to work. My mother went, oh no, if only I had that chance. You go for it. I'll make sure your boy is fine. So I paid my mum quite a lot of money So she finally had some money, and I knew from that second that I'd go back to work and my son was going to be loved exactly like I had been, as a kid, and by the woman I looked up to most in the world. So it was perfect outcome, and then ultimately we never ended up having any more kids, not choice. But everyone thought it was choice. They thought I'd chosen to have one kid because of the career. And actually, I would say the reason I had the career is because that was what life dealt for me.
Yeah.
And my son doesn't. He wouldn't change it back. So yeah.
Yeah. I think there's something really beautiful in that because I can't remember where I saw it, but the having grandparents and especially boys' life is so important, like super, super important. So I think that, that's a wonderful opportunity that he had.
Oh, I missed out. So, mum and dad would bring him in for lunch, or I'd see him at the end of the day, and dad was quite different with his grandkids than he had been with his kids, which was lovely, actually.
Yeah.
And, I'd go to pick him up and they'd go, we went on his first ferry ride today, and we took him on his first pony ride today, and we went out and did this today. So they loved life because the money situation in lesson, it stopped being a big issue because I was able to do that for them. And and Chris just had the best relationship with his grandparents. But, if you ever see me and my son together, I didn't pay, there was no price to pay in mothering him in that way. And I tell a lot of women now, it doesn't matter. Everybody will have an opinion on the right way to parent and, whether you should stay at home or not stay at home, daycare, not daycare, or that there is no right way. There is just the way that works for you and your family. And as long as you love them and you make sure that they're cared for, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And if that's the one thing I can give to women to make them turn off all the noise and just back themselves and trust themselves, that they too, your kid will love you if you love them.
I was kind of lucky because I had opportunities where I would have Vika. I think you met her downstairs. She would always come, and if I was working on set, she'd bring the baby to set. So it's kind of like they were kind of there, but I was not there, but kind of there. It just kind of.
Erica, your kids don't know any different, and they're very happy having you as their mum, right? So that's the only measurement of success, right? That's the only measurement of success. So, yeah.
So, how'd you get the money then?
It's a good question. So I went to every venture capital company, I went to every bank, all of the people that is the way Sovereign had started, and they got their funding from. And they all went, no, little girl, because I was in my 30s, go away. Like, you don't know how to do anything. And I'd go, but I just built this company. Yeah, you were good too, I see, but it was the men at the top that, managed the money, and you don't know. And it was door closed, door closed, door closed, door closed. Yeah. And I tell the story a lot. My husband and I were running out of money. Here, we've got a mortgage. I've got no income, right? And we went to Australia, had a big meeting. The company, that's the guy in New Zealand, said, "This, you're exactly the sort of investment they're looking for. This is a no-brainer. You just go to Australia. I'll set it up." Long story short, he didn't set it up. We turned up. He told us a date. He didn't tell them a date. We turned up. They weren't expecting us. They didn't like what we presented. They just told us to go away. So absolutely devastated. But I got a call. I was there from the reinsurers that had reinsured Sovereign. So they knew me well. And they said, we're interested to hear what you're going to do next, to hear that you're thinking about a startup company. Next, Tony and says they can have a meeting. And I went, well, here, about tomorrow. So turned up, massive meeting. The guy from Germany, the head guy from Germany, happened to be in Sydney. I did a presentation about what we were thinking about doing, and they went, this sounds amazing, we'll be a reinsurer. Now, that's not the same as capital, but reinsurance is bigger amount of money than capital, right? Okay. In terms of, you still need capital. So I still don't have a business. But someone in the industry who knows something about it, looked at your presentation, thought you were great, right? So still don't have the business, still going home to pack up the house and sell it and go try and find a job. And get off the plane in New Zealand, there's a phone call from a company saying, heard that you're thinking about starting a new company in New Zealand, could you come and do a presentation to our board? So we went straight from the airport to the presentation, did the presentation. At the end of it, was able to say, and yesterday we secured a global reinsurer.
Mm.
And they went, well, we're in. We'll be your backers. So that's how I got the money, right at the very end of a process of no, 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 no. And so luck, weird circumstance, but that's how we got it. But you need a lot. So the faster you grow, the more you need. And life insurance, you've got to cover all the claims, even though the client's only paid you one premium so far, And number two, you pay large commissions to brokers to sell the business because New Zealanders don't buy it without a person whacking them over the head and selling it to them. And you've got to pay them commissions. So huge money up front. You make a lot of money in the long term, but huge money up front. So that initial capital, then, for the rest of my career, I was running around trying to find more money. For the business. Got easier as you get better known and bigger and all of those sorts of things, but still was a huge part of the job. And I never knew how to do it until me. So, yeah, tick another thing off the I never knew how to do it, but now I do.
Okay. What's the secret to it then? Is there a secret to it?
It's chutzpah, right? You know your stuff. Like I did my homework. Yeah, in those presentations, it wasn't here's what I'd like to do. It was every number you could have imagined that you might need to see it, and so I did the work. A lot of people talk about I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I have this great idea, and you go, really? Okay, so how are you going to sell it? Who are you going to sell it to? How much are they going to pay for it? How are they going to find you? From marketing, why you and not the other company that's doing that, and how much money do you need to get started, and where you can get it from? And they just glaze over. And I go, well, then you don't want to be an entrepreneur. You want to have a business of your own because you think for some reason working for someone else is harder than working on your own. But you don't want to build a business because you haven't even thought about those things. And it's hard. It is really, really hard. And whatever plan you think you've got, you can guarantee it won't go to plan. You're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to find another way. You're going to hit barriers you can't foresee at the start. You have to have the guts to push through it, because once you start, people start investing in you, customers start, you've got staff, you've got all of these people now, you can't let them down. And you are still going to come across things you never imagined, you never thought could be possible. Regulations change, COVID just hit recently. Life insurance. Everyone's dying in America. You're going, and no one's buying, right? Because they've got no money, all their jobs are gone. No one's buying new business. People are cancelling. But the ones that are left, you think, how many of them are going to die? And I'm going to pay all these claims we could go down. But if we go down and do it, we're going to go down looking after every client to the best of our ability to the day we have to shut the doors. Didn't turn out that way, but it could have. And, so you can't. You don't know what's coming at you when you start a business. You just have to deal with it when it comes, and you've got to back yourself that you will figure it out. But it doesn't mean there aren't days when you just want to run away.
So how do you deal with those days? Like, what are your tricks around getting through that?
Yeah. The more you have done and the older you get, the easier it gets, not because you've seen this problem before, you know the answer to this problem, but because you know that you've had other moments in time like this and you are at this point because you got through those things, right? So but at the start, it is literally like you freeze. You just freeze. You go, I've got all these people depending on me. I'm going to let them down. I'm going to let me down. This is the end. And your brain can't think when you're in that space. So I run. I hate running. But I go to the bush with my two little dogs, go for a run because you're puffing. You try not to fall over. The dogs' tails are, you have try to make sure your little one hasn't gone off and chased a rabbit or deer or something in the bush. All I'm saying is it completely distracts you. You have a zero ability to think about anything other than get to the other end and come out of the run. And so many times I'd come out of the bush and there'd be a tiny glimmer of a thing, and I didn't even know I was thinking about it. But I also pray. Like I said, it's like I'm not praying for the answer. I am passing it on. I'm going, here's the problem.
That's the end of it.
Yeah, just really hard that for 5 minutes or an hour or let them sleep. and we sleep. And again, what I find is when my brain is not consciously stressing about it, ups pop into my head. And it's never the full answer. It's always just a tiny little next step, but momentum gets you there, right? And once that's been the truth a couple of times, you start to trust that it will be this time too. Yeah. And, you know, and so far, here we are.
Is it touch wood or?
It is. Lots of successful people have had failures too. Yeah, really launched products that were a complete failure that I totally thought was the right thing. We hired people who just
Wait. So you have failed before?
not the business. I haven't shut a business down or failed in business, but business success is never like that. It's like this, right? You've had moments where you think that you've lost everything, and it's tomorrow's the day you shut the door, and then you have other moments where you think you're Superman and nothing can go wrong because you've got the momentum. And whenever you start to feel like that, you know it's going to go wrong. And so that trajectory is made up of a whole lot of horror and some highs, and the interesting thing is you never really pat yourself on the back for your successes because you move it on to the next problem or the next opportunity. So you never really stop, and it's other people telling you that, wow, look at what you did. That kind of, you go, oh yeah, because you're so in it and so busy in it and so busy taking the next step that you don't really look at what you just did.
Yeah, I feel, I mean, of nothing on what you've done, whatever, but I think, even like, me and Dom, we just got nominated for awards at but it's just like, like, okay, we've got to get the building, we've got to do this, like, and it's so easy to kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's like take for granted, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like, oh, that's nice. Now we've got to address this and then address this and then address this. And you kind of like, you're like, am I being like ungrateful? Am I being like, like, is this, I just have to move on. Like, I can't even, I'm just like, where does, I guess like, when you do start like crossing and ticking all those boxes, like there's something that you just can't, it's like you keep having to, well, I don't know. Is it prove yourself?
So I think that is literally because once you're on the treadmill of your family depends on your next lot of income, your start depend on your next lot of income, paying the rent requires that you won that award for the thing that you did, but your brain, if you're creative, is already on to the 10 next things that you want to do, and they're now exciting because you've done you, and it's what you do next. It is okay. It is your brain, and I had to get used to being different. Like I said very early on, not the same, not in the club, not that I'm odd. I had to get used to, and I'm fortunate that I was able to get used to it's okay to be different. But as a result of that, no one else thinks the way you do or their brain runs the way you do. I mean, my son does, but, so, and it's okay. And then you just got to figure out how to bring all those other people with you. Yeah, we don't think the same as you, but want to be led by you, or belong to you.
Well, he was saying you're crazy. This is never going to work.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think the more that I hear no, or the more that I hear like this is crazy, like then that just okay, really watch me. I don't know. That's how I feel.
It's me.
Yeah.
All the people who told us, Partners Life wasn't going to get off the ground, we were going to be run out of town by the regulators, we were going to run out of money, our products were unsustainable, and on and on and on and on they went. And then we just ticked all of those off, right? And every single time, and I talk about them, they say they were actually helping us because they were giving us a determination to prove them wrong, right? And we used that energy to really help to drive it. But I also have this view that while they're talking about me, and I'm talking about me, everybody's talking about me, our business. And so don't give them power by worrying about them or talking about them. They can talk about themselves. I'm not going to add to that. But while they're talking about us, they're telling the world they're scared of us. And so from a competition point of view, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So, it's handy to have people who are scared of what you're achieving. Yeah.
Yeah.
People want to pull you back to what they think they can achieve, so you don't make them feel like they're failures. but that's their problem, not yours.
Yeah, right. Do you hear the voice? Do you hear a voice?
Saying, I'm going to show you.
No, saying, "Oh, this is not going to work." Yeah. Do you, or have you managed to change that voice or tame that voice? Or
I don't hear the voice that says, you know, are you crazy? This is not going to work. I hear a voice saying, you're not good enough.
Hmm.
You know, this is so not the thing that you want to do, or the thing that the business wants to do, or that you've all agreed to do is not going to work. It might not, but you think it is, and then if you do the work, it should work, right? But there's that thing going, but why would it be you? Yeah, yeah, like, yeah, and I still hear that voice, but I've come to grips with it. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's like whenever I sit down on the couch or something, I hear my mum's voice going, "Oh, you've got the lawns tomorrow. You've got the right. Can I just have 5 minutes, mom? Like seriously, you know." But yeah, but then you look at her, and you know, it's the same as your mum's generation, right? And they were just like workers, like hard workers, and thick or thin, found a way, and you're just like, wow. And I guess sometimes is because you would have gone through quite a lot of generational change through your business and stuff. Have you seen and how do you adapt to the changes of the different environments, and what was needed 10 years ago is not what your people need now. It's a different kind of focus, or not values, but it's just different, right? How do you navigate that?
I think there's difference and there's the same. I think core fundamentals are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Go to work and they want to know that they're contributing, and they want to be supported to do the best job that they can be. So they want to know that they'll get the training that they need, that kind of thing. They want community, so that's why they go to work, and they want to be rewarded fairly for what they do. That none of that's changed. That's still what people want when they go to work. I think that there is far less interest in authority because someone's old or been there a long time. I think in my day, that was kind of what you were supposed to revere. And that isn't young people these days. They don't think just because you're older and you've been there longer makes you better. You've got to prove yourself. I've got to believe that you are the right person to follow. They're far less willing to do that, and far less likely to put up with bad support, no training, poor pay for long hours, that kind of thing. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that that's what good employers should have always been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I hear a lot about people saying, "Oh, young people don't want to work," and I haven't experienced that at all in all the years. Young people, we brought lots of young people. We had a plan of recruiting people straight out of school right into admin teams, and then teaching them everything, and then their careers go from there, and you get lots of value from that. And that they haven't changed. I don't think they've changed. I think that managers have to change, though. And that idea that you can just tell people what to do and demand that they do it and not do it yourself, those things, they just don't work anymore. But I wouldn't have thought that we had those in my businesses anyway, because it's not the way I work, and it's not the way I expect them to work. I worry, work from home during COVID was a revelation for me. Not for me working from home, but watching how much of a value it was to working mothers. And how much work they still did, even though they were at home and working around kids that were at home, that stuck at home and stuff. Productivity didn't drop. And so many managers going, "Oh, but you can't manage culture, you can't manage team when you're not there." And I go, "Well, we have to, because we're not there and we can't be there. We have to learn how to do it." So you figure out how to do it online, how to do it through phone calls, how to do it in other ways. And it worked. It worked brilliantly. And the people who benefited most from it were mums and kids and now the world. And so we just carried on, and we carried on doing all of the team stuff that we did online through COVID. We carried on doing that after COVID for a long time, and then managers started to slip back to, "Well, I can't manage people unless they're here and I can see what they're doing. So they have to be in the office X many days. They have to, and now I see the whole world swinging back. And the people who pay for that were never a problem.
Mm.
But they've been forced back into an environment of you've got to be back in the office 3 days a week or 5 days a week or whatever. And the people who pay the price are the mums.
Mm.
And I just think, wow, but that's your mum and your sister and your daughter, and you're putting in that box because you didn't like the change. You don't feel like you've got the control. You're the problem in that conversation. So I think management and how to manage team environment and all of that sort of thing needs to change.
Mm.
But unfortunately, the way companies are dealing with that is to force their staff to change rather than their management to change. And I think that's sad. I really think that's sad. But people are fundamentally still want the same things out of work that they always wanted. They're just less inclined to, and younger people are less inclined to put up with when they don't find that. Yeah.
How do you maintain your emotions? Because I just can't do it. I have to like sometimes like just try and like cause pain somewhere else so that the focus is like
You should. I'm emotional. I cry when I talk to my staff about something that I should be emotional about. What I really found frustrating was women who would cry when they were being criticized. Like when you were trying to give constructive criticism or say this didn't go that well, and then they'd cry because that's a defense mechanism against criticism. And that's no good. If someone's trying to help you to learn how to be better or to fix something, you're crying at them as a way to stop them from telling you, well, I hate, right? I hate that. That's not a reason to cry, right? But if someone's partner died and they're telling you about that, or even claim cases that we talk about, we look at claims and sometimes they don't fit within the wordings, but our company would look at it and go, well, is there a reason why we could pay this? Like, is the intent of the product? Some of them are tragic. They're so sad. And you cry because that's a real person with a real life, and we've got their ability to do something, to help in our hands. It's emotional. Our business is emotional, And so I don't think you should try to contain your emotion. It is just who you are, but never ever use that to try to get your way, if that makes sense. And I don't mean you, I mean anybody, because then you immediately put yourself, especially women, and that's what girls do. Mocks.
what's one of the things that you've done that didn't really, I guess, make sense in your head, but it just felt right? Do you have one of those stories?
No, I'd never really separated the head from the heart in the business. So you have lots of ideas. You think this will work, you'll eat it, but you still have to do the business side of it, which is, but who would resell it to? Why would they buy it? How much would they pay for it? All of those sorts of things, because otherwise, what is it? And so, but what I never did was throw out an idea because no one had ever done it before. Sometimes you have to make the numbers up, but you make them up based on your experience of what you already know, what you think is likely to happen, your knowledge of the distribution force, that kind of thing. So we did lots of things no one had ever done before. So you're inventing new stuff in an industry that hadn't invented new stuff for a very long time. You have to convince your shareholders and your board and everybody that you've taken into account all of the risks, etc. But this is an opportunity, and only you can take it because you're the only ones coming up with the new ideas. And it will give you another competitive advantage until all your competitors copy you, and then you're on to the next thing. So, and we did some of those things and they didn't work as well as we thought they would. And partly it's because the distribution force wasn't ready to have something new to sell. They just wanted to do what they always knew how to do, or whatever the reason. But yeah, I would never say and just did something because gut feel said it was the right thing to do. Probably the closest I come is to make decisions on people based on gut feel rather than based on the CV. Yeah, good and bad. Usually that works. And usually when you don't follow your gut with people, it doesn't work. It's, you have a problem. So I learnt that really early on. If your gut is telling you no about a person, whether it's a customer offering an opportunity or a staff member that you're about to hire or a director, that you don't do it. Just don't, and find a way to explain it. but not really in business. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you I mean, I'm so bad at hard conversations, like with people. Like, I'm just like really, I would do everything to avoid it. Like, that's one of my things that I need to actually, address. But so, how do you like, approach those really hard conversations?
Well, I used to, when I was younger, think if someone wasn't performing their job to the standard that they should, it was my fault because I was their manager and I just needed to try something new, give them more support, do something. It was then, it must be me, and it took me a while to go, well, first of all, that's extremely arrogant that you think you can fix somebody, and that they need fixing. If they're not performing and they don't want to perform, they're not broken. They're just doing what they want to do, right? And that's legitimate. That's for them to choose that, just not in your company if that's not what you expect from them, right? And not what you're paying them for. So it took me a while to get over I just had to try harder, which was really just to defer having the conversation with them about what they needed to do, right? It was like, well, if I just try harder, they'll be better. And then I don't have to tell them that they're bad, right? So, and then and then what I also learned is that, you can lose really good people because you don't deal with the really bad one. Because they're sick of watching that person. They're sick of carrying the load. And they lose respect for you because you're not doing something about it, right? So that's another thing that can happen if you don't. So both of those things said to me, actually, the right answer is you treat them with respect. So hard conversation where you're telling someone they need to change something doesn't have to be you have to change this thing. It has to be, here's an issue that we've got. When you do these things, this is the reaction that you're getting. It's not the reaction that we need as a business. Here's what we need you to change. Here's how we're going to help you to do that change. Here's the support you're going to do. But you're going to change it, right? Because it can't carry on like this. And you have to expect that as long as you are kind and polite and delivering that with kindness, whatever reaction you get, it's not because you've delivered it the wrong way. So people who are bad will get angry, they'll cry, they'll say it's all your fault. They'll do all of those things as their defense mechanism for, I know you're right, but I don't want you to be right and I don't want to have this conversation. So as long as you deliver it kindly, you just keep going, right? Their behavior is not your issue. It's an example of why you have to have this conversation. And then as long as you've given them what they need to change, any training that they might need to get there, the time frames by which they need to do it, everything else is their decision. So if they get better, it's because they've chosen to, and if they don't, it's because they've chosen to. None of that's got anything to do with you. Your job is then to carry through with, that's fantastic. I'm so proud of you. This is amazing and it must feel better to be getting the reaction, or we're still in that space. Clearly, it's not something you want to do, but it's something we have to have. We have to have that conversation, right? So, and the more you do it, the more proud of yourself you are. You should never find it easy, but you should always do it.
Yep.
So procrastinating makes you feel bad because you know you need to do it. You just keep putting it off and it doesn't ever go away, does it? It just gets worse. The longer someone is left to do something the wrong way, the harder it is for you to argue it's the wrong way.
Interesting.
Yes. Isn't it? Because you haven't given them that feedback. So actually, they might think you're doing the right thing, or at least a thing that's okay because you just let it go for now. So there's so many bad consequences to you not having that tough conversation. So you have to do it. So you might as well get good at it, right? Rather than fearing it, just decide you're going to become an expert at it because you can, and you just fake it till you make it, right?
Oh yeah, that's my motto. My life motto. Fake it till you make it.
But I get people I've made redundant or managed out come back to me years later and say it's the best thing that ever happened to me. You forced me to deal with this thing. I found my true job, the thing I was really passionate about, and I wouldn't have done anything. And I thought you were so terrible at the time, and now I realise you did me a huge favour. That's still happening to me. People still contacting me. So that tells you that there's so much more positive in doing the right thing in the right time than there ever will be in avoiding it. Yeah. Is that a kick up the bum you need?
Yeah, thanks. Fundamentally, is all businesses the same? Is there like some secret recipe that you can give me right now so I can bake my wonderful cake that I need. Like what?
Not all businesses are the same. I was interviewed once for a book where they wanted to identify the commonalities of successful people, the things that were the same about them, to distill it into a book to say, here's the things that successful people do. And the problem with that I saw was, well, I'm successful because of who I am and the way I think and what I do in my business. So the things that are common are not the things that made me successful. It's the thing that made me different. That it's the difference that made me. And I'm sure that Rod Duke, who runs, Rebel and Briscoes and stuff, is completely different to me. Does it a different way. It works for him. So if you take the commonalities, you don't get the thing that made them successful, right? So actually, I don't think there is a 101 to business success other than you got to focus on the money. You got to know the dollars. That's business. Otherwise, it's hobby. Yeah, you've got to know your dollars. You've got to know what you need to pay your expenses. You've got to know what you should charge for the services that you have, and you've got to know you've got pipeline of business, and is going to pay next month's stuff while you're working on the following, the following month, and that sort of that. You've got to be good at the numbers, and if you're not, you've got to get someone who can do it for you. You don't have to be good at it, but I would suggest you should at least understand them to be in business. And the rest of it is entirely you. Your business will be successful because of you and who you are, who you bring around you. The respect that people have for your work, all of those. It's just completely different than in life insurance, right? Which is about product and price and how you distribute and all of those sort of bits. So they are quite different. But you want a bigger cake, you got to plan for it. You got to have a plan for what's going to get you to the numbers that give you the size of the cake that you want. And people hate me talking about the numbers. It's almost like, oh, but I'm in business because I love what I do. And I go, yeah, but it's not a business if it's not making money. It's not sustainable if you don't know that you can pay your expenses next month and the month after. And if you want to earn more money, you've got to sell more, if that makes sense. So either do more or charge more for what it is that you do, and then have a plan for how you do that. That's the core to it, I think. Yeah.
So we use Koha sometimes. Like, so if people, short films, whatever, sure, you can use this space, just Koha or, post it up on your socials, tag Taro Patch, whatever. But I guess that's only sustainable to a certain level.
Well, if Koha brings you business opportunities, then it's a lead generation for your business. It has value to you. If all it ever does is provide a donation to someone else, give them something for free that then doesn't flow back to you, then that's not business, that's charity. And it's fine as long as you understand that that's what it is and that's what you're doing, and you're doing exactly what I said. You're taking before you arrive and you are already handing it out. What's the difference between that and tithing it to the church or whatever? If it has value to you because it brings people into your circle that ultimately add value to your business, or have something in return that otherwise you would pay for that is of value to you, then that makes perfect sense. So either you're doing it because you want to give and you need to make sure you could afford to give, or you're doing it because it is literally networking, which ultimately adds value to your business. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I think it is definitely our industry and the way that we need to kind of upskill our people is by providing opportunities. Access is our biggest issue for our people. Especially on the south side because there's no art school. South Seas is like 3 bus rides, 2 hours one way. So already that just eliminates so many people.
It does. But you can also charge peppercorn, right? You don't have to give free, like I said. Yeah. And then that's at least covering some of your expenses, not having to pay for you to make money, but at least you not, you value things you pay for. And B, you've got cost. So literally every person that uses this place for free is costing you, aren't they? Yeah. I know it's hard to say, but it's empty when we're not using it, or we've got this space and it's not being used. But you could use it, right? And if you did do that, you could make money from that space. And I'm really sorry I'm talking about making money, but we're talking about business, and the purpose of business is to make money. Yeah. And so many people don't want to acknowledge that or deal with it. And that's fine too, but at least make a conscious decision that that's what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we kind of, yeah, and I think it's kind of a Pacific thing as well. Yes, like money's around and people ask for it and stuff, but it's not really kind of like talked about and like, oh, if you trying to aim high, no, you don't, can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Where you come from. Yeah. All those sorts of words. I think that that is the worst thing about the Pacific Island culture, which is do not shine, do not stick your head above the parapet, don't do something that other people don't do, which is don't get a big hit, right? And I think it's very hard for Pacific Islanders to ever get a big hit because you've got so many people telling you not to, right? But on the other hand, how do people know about you? How do they know about the work that you do, and how are they inspired by you if they don't know about you, if they've never heard of you because you're keeping your head above under the parapet, not letting anyone know about you? And I think, why? Don't you want brown faces out there being successful? Isn't that what inspires your kids and shows them there's a whole new life and means that there's more to go around for everybody else who needs it? Like, why? Let's have a think about this. Just because you did it or your parents did it doesn't make him right. Think about it and change it. You can be the change for your kids and your family, right? This generation can make sure that that doesn't happen anymore, but you also don't need to respond to it. People telling you that. Like I said, lots of people told me stuff about me or what not to do or all of those sorts of things. And if I'd listened to all of that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. See? So so there's two sides to that. Don't listen to it. And the other side of it is don't do it. Don't perpetuate it, right?
yeah, yeah. Do you have a saying or, mine is literally like, fake it till you make it, and tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life. Like those literally the mantras that I keep going in my brain. Is there something that you always kind of
I think the thing is that, my mum on my shoulder,
mm,
if I'm about to do this, could I justify it to her as ethical? As the right thing to do. So mum on my shoulder is kind of the way I describe that, as, the moral compass that I talk to go, how would you see this? How could could you see this in a different way than I think I can see it? To really sense check that. So that for me is my test, but it's that do unto others kind of thing. Are you about to take an opportunity that's going to hurt somebody else or make you more money, but actually be bad for someone? Because I just won't do that. But, so that thing is my mantra. Yeah.
if you could describe what leadership means to you, like what kind of ocean would that look like? Yeah.
So leadership for me is not a thing. Leadership isn't something you do. Leadership happens because others want to follow you, right? Because they see that you are their safety, you are the person that's going to take them to where they want to go, you are the person that they are inspired by or the person that they want to learn from, right? So that's what a leader is, a manager or someone in a job title that says you have to do what I tell you. That's not leadership. So leadership is, by example, and that's what leadership is to me. So I think a lot of people think they want to become a leader. It's almost, well, your people decide if you're a leader or not. Yeah. So if you want to become a leader, they need to want to follow you. You have to be that person.
Yeah. Like, why do you think people want to follow you or have followed you?
I describe myself as everyone's mother, like including customers or the nicest thing that people have always said to me is, don't take this the wrong way, Naomi, but you're so ordinary. And what they mean is other people in big jobs in our industry would be in an office in a three-piece suit. We could never go and talk to them and they'd never come out and talk to you and that kind of thing. And there's still an element of that, right? And I was just me. It was always just the girl. I never dressed the way corporates dressed. I never behaved that way. I never saw myself as superior to anyone. I just did a different job. I had this job to coordinate them all. And actually, in my head, everybody in their job was better at their job than I could be at their job. I knew how to do their job. I understood how to make it work, but I hired them because they could be or would be better than me. So actually, I was inspired by them.
Mm-hmm.
But I also recognized that without a me, that orchestra didn't work, right? Individuals were off playing their own parts and they're not joined together and they're not allowing someone else in the moment to shine. They're all trying to be the soloist, right? So my job as a leader, I guess, was to make sure they all got to shine when it was the appropriate time, make sure they all got heard. They understood that they were heard, that they were seen for what they brought to the organisation, etc. And so I have always been their mum. And these are big business people, and these are people who are in big jobs and all of that sort of thing. And yet they all kind of felt like that towards me. They love me. And that doesn't come from you telling them to do that. It comes from consistency. They always know who you are, how you're going to be. They always know they can rely on you, that they know which direction you're going to take whenever there's a question around ethics and that sort of thing. And so they are comfortable that I'm on their shoulder, like my mum's on mine. So that's why I think they came with me. It's certainly what people tell me. And like I said, I get phone calls even now from people say, you started me off in this career, I wouldn't have the life I've had. I learned how to do it right. I see when it's wrong, that kind of thing, which is really nice because they have been able to stick to their own moral compass with me. Yeah, not feel like they've had to make a compromise. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something really beautiful in that, it just feel like this, I guess, this sense of safety too, right?
Yeah. But also a sense of, like, people come up and they tell jokes. I know all their kids' names. I wander around the office twice a day, sit on people's desks, have a chat to them. New people would look like this because they never expected the boss to do that. But the rest of the stuff, I was just one of them, right? And their kids would climb all over me at the Christmas parties and stuff like that because they didn't. We're told not to. And I like that about me. Yeah, I like that about me. And so again, I just had to be me. I'm just me. I'm the same with their kids as I am with my kid. I just had to be me. Yeah.
And do you feel like that's of some from your Pacific heritage like that?
Yeah, my mum was feisty. She was fiery. Like I said, she could do anything, but gosh, she loved people. She smiled. She was always smiling, even when life was tough with, Dad and all the kids and everything else. She cuddled everybody. And her love language was food, like all of us. And so in my business, we ate a lot. Food was a really important part of the culture for the staff, and that's how we celebrated or didn't celebrate, or things went well and they didn't go well, we'd eat. So that's family, right? For them, work was the same as being in a family. And their family was included. So we had lots of people's family members, my son, brother, nieces, nephews. Our staff had mums, dads, husbands, wives, and we didn't care. We didn't have that rule that said you can't have a family member come and work here. We had a rule that says if your family member's good, bring them, because you're not going to let them be a terrible person inside the business you love. And it makes for a family environment. So truly work was just an extension of family, not another thing. Yeah. And yours will be the same.
Yeah, 100%. It's like we never left home, literally.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we kind of need, because I know when we know it's so easy for us to go into these spaces and like literally feel some kind of way, and you can't be you, and so
else.
yeah, and breaking down some of these kind of barriers that we put up is very much why this place looks like a home, and it's supposed to. So people just don't have to have those walls up; they just automatically die.
Just themselves. Yeah. And partnership was more brown than white and wasn't deliberate. That's because we didn't have a deliberate policy the other way, and also because I don't see myself as my outside, if that makes sense to you. So people don't. The outside, I'm not trying to find people who look like me. I'm trying to find people who speak to me, who want to be hate and fed and talk to about ethics and morals and all of that sort of stuff. So, so as a result of that, we have just people from everywhere, so many different, and so that is New Zealand, and it's our normal, and it's not ever been a deliberate strategy for diversity. It's been because we've got the right people with the right heart. Because look at what we do. Look at the business that we're in. You got to love people to do a good job at the business that we're in. You can't just see it as money. You get to see it as our family suffering, and we're helping to do the thing we told them that we would do if that terrible thing happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I never really thought about it in that way. I mean, because, obviously
Yeah.
with with our industry and stuff, we're continuously like holding people's emotions because we need people to build trust in us. But it's I never saw the relationship. I always thought that like insurance was this very business kind of thing.
Numbers.
Numbers, da da da. Yeah.
Well, I can only speak for life and health insurance because you're literally dealing with life and death and health, and the overwhelming feedback we've got from customers when they claim. So don't, if they've never had a bad thing happen to them, they're thinking terrible because we're just taking their premium and they never said it before, and I could just keep this money and do something else with it, right? So, but the people who claim, the thing that they say is not thank you for the money, is your staff was so wonderful. And I couldn't even think straight, and your staff were just brilliant with me, and thank you. And I mean, just one of the claims I had when I was quite young, and it was a small amount of money, but this old man's wife had died. They were in there. I think he was in his late 70s, and she just passed away. And we paid out the money. And he rang me, and I'm the CEO of the company. And he got asked for me, so they put him through to me. That's not normal either, but it was in my company. And he rang and he said, "Oh, thank you so much for that. I'm sitting at home alone, and my wife used to make the macaroni cheese, and I really want to make macaroni, and I don't know how to make it. Can you tell me how to make that macaroni cheese?" So I'm the CEO of Life Insurance Company sitting there with this man, helping him make macaroni cheese, and it was one of the proudest moments of my life. Both that he got through to me, that was a thing, and that he felt that the way our staff had treated him meant that he could ring us and someone would help him with that. And that still makes me cry after all these years. And so the thing that keeps you in this business is that the thing that people hear about is the money, the numbers, the news, but I have had a purpose in my life. And those are the people that talk to me about what I've done for them, what the business has done for them, the nature of the business that we have. So, yeah, that's, and I never found anything else I wanted to do.
It's the first time that macaroni cheese has made me cry. Oh, that's beautiful. That's such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And I think, we've I guess when we talk about legacy, like what do you want to leave behind? Like, like what why do you what do you want to leave behind, and why do you kind of what actually why do you want to do this?
So I kind of feel like I've already done that. Like from a business perspective, the legacy is I changed the industry. I forced competition because our businesses did it in that way, and it became the thing that customers and brokers demanded, and it forced the whole market to change. So it's no longer the old school, old boy industry that it was when I started it, and I play a huge part in fixing that change because they had to compete with us, right? So I'm really proud of that because of this is the stuff that we actually do for people at the end of the day. And 99% of people in the industry, they want to do that, right? That's what they want to do. And I feel like I've played a part in that. And whatever happens to it now, I've done what I've done. I'm no longer there. I can't control that. It's none of my business really anymore because the industry needs to find its own way. But I did that, and I'm proud of that. So legacy, I don't really care if other people see that. I know that I managed to do that, I guess. And legacy now, I guess, is how much can I give back? And that's why I'm talking to you. How much of the things that I know and I've learned can I hand back to other people to learn from, or to be inspired by, or to give them hope when everything seems lost? That just go for a run, pray, play some music, do something to give your brain space, because there's an answer in there. You've got this. There's an answer in there. So that's what I That's what I get most pleasure out of right now, is that. And I know all there's relevance, because it will be longer and longer since I actually did those things. But for as long as I can help somebody else um, take another step, then that's the legacy now for me. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, sorry. Actually, did you have a mentor? And do we need mentors? Like, what's the?
I didn't have a formal mentor, and sort of on a similar subject, people ask me, did I read all these books from all these famous people that did things? And I really don't. I read to escape, right, or board papers. There's a lot of that sort of reading, right, but nothing in between. And I would say I've never had a mentor. I've had people I have looked up to, certainly Ian Hendry and Chris Coon, who started Sovereign. So that was in startup, but I started with, they gave me that chance and they let me try crazy things. And I learnt a huge amount from them. Chris, unfortunately, has passed away, but what an opportunity that they gave me. But I've also, like I said, I grew up observing other people from the outside looking in, and I've learned an awful lot about that, about people and those sorts of things. So most of the mentoring, if you want to put it that way, was me watching and learning, or choosing to learn something from somebody, rather than having someone I constantly ask for advice or opinion on. I don't know if that's the right answer, but that is the answer. That is the truth. So I learnt this on my own, and I learnt by watching people and deciding what they did or what they thought or what they said. Was that something I agreed with? Because now it's mine as well. Yeah. Or was it something I didn't agree with? In which case, no, I am not doing that. No matter how much money you think that's made you or whatever, I'm just not going to be that person. So, yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
But I do mentor people. So I'm doing some mentoring through Auckland University for one of their very bright students in the Coupe, a mentorship program. I've done some stuff with the Centre of Innovation, and I've done some stuff for the business school. I've done some stuff for that. Because if that's what they want and they get value out of that, then I'm advocate, and I just never did. Yeah.
Can you mentor me? No.
It'll start you.
I think we've talked around and we're nearly there. I actually can you just explain a little bit about your family history?
Yes.
Yes.
So I tell people my mother was Tongan, and then people think I can speak Tongan. Mum and her sisters never let any of us kids learn Tongan because then we'd know what they were saying about either us or their husbands, more likely. So actually, no, I can't speak Tongan. Mum actually wasn't Tongan, so she was born in Tonga, brought up in Tonga, spoke Tongan. But her mother was Samoan and her father was German. He was interred in New Zealand during the war when Nana was pregnant with number 15, and he died there. So they lost everything, the bakery, the house, everything. And had 15 kids. All the older kids came to New Zealand to try to send money back. And Mum and her younger siblings had to kind of figure out life with. It's pretty dire. And so they all left before they were 21. And in Tonga, you're not a Tongan citizen till you're 21. So born in Tonga, spoke Tonga, educated in Tonga, not a Tongan citizen, not Tongan genetically, but that's where she came from. So I describe her as Tongan. She's a Biltmere. Actually, her mother was Samoan. So the family look more Samoan. They don't look Tongan. I do have Tongan relatives because, some of the family married Tongans. And my Tongan nephews are ginormous. They also work for me, by the way. But so that a very complicated family history. And as soon as I say she's Tongan, Tongans tell me she's not Tongan. But
Oh, no. We're keeping the Samoan secret. We're keeping that secret. Okay?
Yeah. So, but that's where she's from. Yeah.
We're claiming you. It's all good, guys. You're Tongan.
My South African daughter also tells people she's Tongan because she's married to, my son. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, is there anything else, some advice, that you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah. I think that the one lesson that I've learned now that I wish I knew when I was younger is you are good enough, right? And and also be true to you. Being true to you will be an advantage throughout your whole life. It can seem like a disadvantage when you don't fit in, when you're different from other people, when you think that they're judging you because you're not like others. So the biggest piece of advice I would give is being different is good. Being yourself is really good, and you're enough. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. No, well, this has been very inspiring. I've been on the edge of tears all this interview. No, but I think, it's very important for us to hear, especially when there's no recipe for what we're trying to achieve and no one's done it before. There's not many Tongan directors or whatever, so it's literally building the plane as we're trying to fly.
But isn't that exciting? Because you get to do that. You get to decide how this will be done. You get to decide what's the right way to do it for the others that come behind you to follow. You're that person, right? It's hard and you don't know what you're doing and you're sure you're going to make a mistake, and you will, and all of those sorts of things. But also, you've got all the future generations of Tongan directors that you are building this for as well. And it's a responsibility and an honour. But there are no experts. You're it. You're the expert, because there's no one else to do this, right? There's no one else that's doing it. So back yourself. And if you hit a wall and you don't know how to do it, then figure it out or make it up.
Yeah.
Justify your
YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
How to.
Yeah. And then go, do I think that's right, or do I want to adjust that? Because actually, I don't really think that's right. And then it becomes yours, right? You've made that decision, that call. You are in a fantastic place because you are the inventor. You're the start. It's amazing.
Thank you. Well, hopefully I'll be in your jet one day with $1 billion in a nice boat. No.
And because I don't have $1 billion, lots of other shit. I was just saying. But enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
And you will have kids who just think their mum rocks the world and that they can be anything they want to be. Being yourself is really good, and you're enough. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. No, well, this has been very inspiring. I've been on the edge of tears all this interview. No, but I think, it's very important for us to hear, especially when there's no recipe for what we're trying to achieve and no one's done it before. There's not many Tongan directors or whatever, so it's literally building the plane as we're trying to fly.
But isn't that exciting? Because you get to do that. You get to decide how this will be done. You get to decide what's the right way to do it for the others that come behind you to follow. You're that person, right? It's hard and you don't know what you're doing and you're sure you're going to make a mistake, and you will, and all of those sorts of things. But also, you've got all the future generations of Tongan directors that you are building this for as well. And it's a responsibility and an honour. But there are no experts. You're it. You're the expert, because there's no one else to do this, right? There's no one else that's doing it. So back yourself. And if you hit a wall and you don't know how to do it, then figure it out or make it up.
Yeah.
Justify your
YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
How to.
Yeah. And then go, do I think that's right, or do I want to adjust that? Because actually, I don't really think that's right. And then it becomes yours, right? You've made that decision, that call. You are in a fantastic place because you are the inventor. You're the start. It's amazing.
Thank you. Well, hopefully I'll be in your jet one day with $1 billion in a nice boat. No.
And because I don't have $1 billion, lots of other shit. I was just saying. But enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
And you will have kids who just think their mum rocks the world and that they can be anything they want to be.